time to put our panelists on the clock. First up for a hot minute of debate. Drought conditions in New Mexico have become so severe that the state's livestock board has seized about 1,000 head of cattle from a ranch near Fort Sumner. Worse, 25 of that cattle have already died of starvation. It'll cost the livestock board about $3 grand a day to take over the care of these remaining in the herd. But Dan, did you see the price tag just going up? Because more ranchers are going to be in this fix as every day goes along in this summer. Who has to pay for all this at some point?
Well, clearly the taxpayers are going to have to pay for this. You know, it's hard to get blood out of a turnip. You know, I mean, these guys are broke. Right. They've got no water. Right. There's no way to feasibly get this stuff to them, but yet we still want to eat burgers. So, I mean, it's a big question about, you know, I mean, we're at a real crossroads, I think, globally on our food sources, and it's a big thing for this country.
Laura, I'm hearing about folks who can't buy hay even if they want to buy hay right now. They can't get it for under a ton of money a bale. So.
And years ago, we talked about this being a potential consequence of climate change issues and not addressing what we were doing, and it's only going to get worse. And there are still those of us that believe that this will continue to get worse, and we are not addressing the larger causes of this drought problem. So, I mean, I think this is a terrible situation.
Right. Marisa, what should we do here? That's a lot of cattle.
Well, I mean, somebody's going to have to take care of the cattle, and I think it was the head of the livestock board who pointed out that, because we're blaming the drought for the problems with the cattle, the Double V ranch owner could have chosen to sell the cattle rather than to let them starve. So there is an element of personal responsibility in all of this as well.
Put them to the slaughter plant in Roswell.
So, I'll stop that. I'm going to hold you there, Whitney. Thousands of protesters took to the streets on Saturday to join in on a global movement. You're going to love this one, Whitney Cheshire, the March Against Monsanto.
Yes.
Protesting the agricultural giants' use of genetically engineered and modified foods. Now, the New Mexico legislature this year failed to pass a bill that would mandate labeling of foods containing GMOs or genetically modified organisms. Is this protest enough to change some minds, or is it much ado about nothing? How did it hit you when you saw this protest?
Well, like the company that produces it, they have the right, you know, they acknowledge that everybody has the right to protest it. But more importantly, when you look at genetically altered food, it plays into a lot of the drought issue that we're talking about, because a lot of the things that you can do is make plants that are less, that need less water, that need less herbicide and care, and can grow in you know, more challenging climates. So I don't think it's timely. I mean, I think that there's a lot of things that science can do to help us when we're, you know, our resources.
Marisa, there's lots of controversy about what Whitney just said on the other side of it, about what Monsanto does or does not do. So what's your thought?
Sure. So the Compass has been covering this extensively, actually, and I think, you know, the anti-Monsanto debate is about the dangers that it poses to health and to public health. We've also interviewed farmers who use GMO seeds. And who are dealing with drought, like Whitney's saying. So, I mean, in New Mexico particularly, I think we're looking at one of those urban versus rural conflicts. And I think that's kind of an interesting vantage point for this.
Sure. Going to hold you guys there. Sorry about that. Same-sex marriage was the issue on a new poll conducted by Survey USA for Eyewitness News KOB. That's Channel 4, of course. The result, 51% say it should be banned. That's a switch from a 2011 poll where the majority said it should be legalized. Now, is this a significant reversal, Marisa, or just one of those normal fluctuations of polling? But I asked it under the context, the national culture would make it seem like the numbers should be off the charts in support of same-sex marriage. So how surprised were you by this one?
I was surprised, and it's, again, because like you're saying, it goes against some of the national polling. Another number stuck out to me in this poll, which is that when you start looking at younger people, 63% of New Mexicans support same-sex marriage and legalizing same-sex marriage in the state. So there are a lot of people who say that this is something that's coming, and you know, and maybe this is a matter of young people becoming in power.
Sure, absolutely. What's your thought on this, Laura?
Well, I think that that's something we've actually talked about on at the table before, is that there is sort of this age break. There's this age issue related to this, where it's not as much of a controversy for younger people. And so I do agree that as we have younger folks growing up and taking power, becoming political politicians, that will change.
Sure.
42% of the people polled were Lobo fans. That's all I would have thought.
Oh my goodness. State spending is up in New Mexico, but the government's human resource numbers have remained stagnant. Whitney, does the government need to grow somewhat to provide adequate services, as it's being alleged now that we've cut perhaps a little too close to the bone? What do you think on this one?
All I can tell you is that under Governor Martinez's administration, salaries have been held lower than ever before, and hiring has occurred where it needs to happen. Her spokesperson, Enrique Nell, made a really good point. A lot of times the legislature approves positions, but not the funding for it. So.
Tom Cole had a great piece in the Journal this week about what's not happening in certain departments because of understaffing and underfunding. Your sense of that?
I agree. I mean, I think it also hits certain departments worse. I think those that have to deliver certain types of services, like the MVD, like CYFD, like the health department, have, I think, particular constraints when those positions go unfilled.
Interesting.
It's the same problem that we had under Governor Richardson. You know, there was the same deal. They said they got all these people that are ghost employees, but they're really working somewhere else. Remember that whole deal? I mean, I think at the end of the day, no matter who's been governor, you got to stand in line for 40 minutes to see DMV. I mean, there's certain things of government.
They've actually decreased that to about 17 minutes on average.
Nowhere where I've been. I just went to get my car titled, and it was off the charts.
Got to keep moving. Finally, the issue we mentioned at the top of the show as we tape this, information is still pouring in, but let's spend our minute this way. Is the indictment of Jamie Estrada the end of the line for this FBI investigation? Or, Daniel, is there more to be pulled from this? Your sense of this, briefly, if you
Well,
would.
I think what we've learned from this is that, we've got to hold our water on these things. I think the start of this email gate, we were quick to throw people to the lions. There's people whose lives have been changed and ruined by this. And I think that, for us to be running out there taking a stance, I just think the one thing I know for sure is that when you look at some of these entities, the Santa Fe Reporter, Monahan, these are people we shouldn't be taking with any valid reality. We should be questioning what it is they're doing. We should be very careful before we run with their stories.
There you go. Laura, your sense of this?
Well, and a lot of this information is still coming out right now, but the issue was related to these emails that had been released and have affected people's jobs. And I do agree with Dan that we should be careful about painting with a broad brush, because these allegations and these news stories and blogs or whatever do have a real effect on people's livelihoods. And in this particular case, I would expect that there's probably going to be other indictments, but just remember it's an indictment and not a trial.
That's right. That's right. Marisa, your sense of this as it stands so far?
I think we have no way to tell what the rest of this investigation will yield. I think we know very little today, and we'll have to see how it plays out.
Good point.
I think it's disappointing from the start of the discussion last year. Everybody was so quick to say that these emails were, as Dan pointed out, legally obtained, and I don't think that I do not think that the media dove in enough to really find out what they were even trying to say to make it happen. I maintain that they had to be illegal. I know how emails and process work on campaigns. Dan had said the same thing. Whomever was involved in it, I think somebody needs to be held accountable. Otherwise, you set a standard where you're saying anybody can read your email, do whatever they want, grab it however they want, and there's no law or rule against it.
A lot of egg on people's faces today.
Interesting. Thank you all for your thoughts on all these subjects. Really appreciate it. Thank you for your time this week. And as a reminder, you can always catch up with us in between shows using social media. We're on Facebook and Twitter. Just search for New Mexico in Focus. I'm Dean Grant. We'll see you next week in Focus.
This program is part of American Graduate. Let's make it happen. A public media initiative made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.